Hi there, I'm Caroline. Welcome to Holy Yoga with Caroline. This is a 30-minute Thanksgiving Day flow full of lots of twists to help with your digestion, some core work and strength building to maybe work off a couple bites of that pumpkin pie, and just some deep relaxation to help with some of the stress and the craziness of this holiday. But this whole flow is inspired by this book called 1,000 Gifts by Ann Voskamp. If you haven't read it yet, I would totally recommend it. The whole premise of this book is gratitude. And she starts this gratitude journal and writes down 1,000 things that she's thankful for. And it's little things like jam on toast and shadows across the floor. And the purpose behind it is finding God in the everyday things, finding his presence, finding his grace, and experiencing the joy inherent in that in the everyday. So I'm super excited to bring this to you. I hope that you are blessed by it. If you have a favorite worship playlist, I would totally recommend playing it while you practice. If not, there's a link to my Spotify channel below. Check that out. I made a playlist just for this video that's all about gratitude, and it's really going to help enhance your practice. So thank you for being here. Let's get on our mats and do some yoga. From the seated position, take one hand and put it on your heart and your other hand on your belly. Close your eyes and just let go. Begin to notice how your body's feeling. Begin to draw attention to your breath, your attention to your mat, your attention to God. See if you can deepen your breath here by originating your breath from the depth of your belly, feeling your belly and your ribs fill up with air as your chest expands. And then from this place of fullness, slowly begin to exhale it all out so that your exhale is as long as your inhale. David says in Psalm 100 that we should enter his courts with thanksgiving in our hearts. Thanksgiving, the message says it this way: enter with the password, thank you. We enter into the presence of God from a place of gratitude. In her book, 1,000 Gifts, Ann Voskamp says this about thanksgiving and gratitude. The original Greek word here is eucharisteo. And she says that's how we get the word Eucharist from, this practice of taking communion. The Greek word here is eucharisteo. She says eucharisteo is the central symbol of Christianity, thanksgiving. It comes from the most common of foods, bread and wine. Bread and wine has been part of our meal taking across centuries and cultures. Jesus didn't insist that the Eucharist happen around some unusual, rare, once-a-year event, but around the continual act of eating a slice of bread, drinking a cup of fruit from the vine. 1 Corinthians 11:26 reads, "Whenever you eat this bread and drink this cup," whenever, like every day, whenever we eat. Eucharisteo means whenever, which could be right now. Within that thanksgiving, we find joy right here, right now. Father God, I just ask in these next few minutes, Lord, that we would know your presence, that we would know your joy as we come to you out of this overflow of thanksgiving. God, even if we feel like we have nothing to be thankful for, show us something. Help us find gratitude in the littlest of things. Gratitude for this mat, gratitude for this body, gratitude for the ability to breathe, to be your son, to be your daughter. Gratitude for the sunshine and the rain, for your hope. Father, and may this gratitude just fill us up and help us to just sit fully in your presence. Amen. Begin to open your eyes, take your arms out to the side, and bend your elbows at a 90-degree angle. With an inhale, I want you to stretch your heart forward, gently arching your back here. And on an exhale, bring your palms to touch, round your spine, tuck your chin into your chest, and feel a deep stretch in between your shoulder blades. On an inhale, bring your arms back out to the side, reaching your heart forward, arching your back. And on an exhale, draw your palms to touch, chin to chest, rounding your spine. And go through a few of these moments on your own breath here. Inhaling to open, exhaling to round. As you begin to open up your heart, move your spine, connect with your breath and the movements of your body. Good. The next time you come to center, release your hands, crawl them out in front of you, and come onto your knees and do a tabletop position. So your hips are stacked over your knees, your wrists underneath your shoulders. And on an inhale, we're going to do the same movement with our entire spine. So arch your back, lift your heart forward, really press your hands towards your body here. So there's this energetic engagement in your arms. And then on an exhale, round your spine, press the ground away from you, tuck your tailbone and your chin, really rounding your spine here. And inhale, we're going to switch directions. Release your belly here, arch your spine, open your heart. Exhale, rounding. A few more of these on your own breath, deepening this movement. Finding gratitude in the fullness of movement that you have here. Good. Come to neutral and begin to just crawl your hands out in front of you, straightening your arms here. Keeping your hips stacked over your hips, begin to lower your forearms to the mat. Coming into a puppy dog pose here. So we're still arching our heart forward. We're drawing it towards our fingertips as we reach our hips towards the heavens. Breathing into this open space, feeling this beautiful stretch between our shoulder blades, across our heart, finding space in our neck and shoulders here. Come forward, hug your elbows to your ribs, and lower all the way down to your belly. And let's take those hands and bring them underneath your shoulders here. And on an inhale, slowly begin to lift your heart and chest upwards, coming into a baby cobra pose. Good. Exhale, release down. Inhale, press your palms into the mat just gently here as you lift your chest forward, keeping the tops of your feet on the mat, but using the strength of your core and your back to lengthen your spine up. Good. Exhale, release back down. One more time here. Press your palms into the mat. Begin to lift and lengthen your arms, drawing your heart forward, opening up into a cobra pose here. And then slowly release all the way down to your belly. Good. Sink your hips back to your heels and then lift them up to the ceiling, coming into our downward facing dog. Do whatever movement you need to here to find space in your body. Maybe that's pedaling your feet. Maybe that's swaying your hips. Maybe that's shaking your head, yes and no. But do what comes naturally. Good. Draw your gaze to your hands and begin to step your feet all the way to the top of your mat with a slight bend in your knees. Hang here in a forward fold. Letting it all go here. Letting your belly go. Letting your head and neck hang. Breathing deeply in this pose. Rooting your feet down into the mat, slowly begin to roll all the way up to standing so that your head and neck are the very last things to rise. Once you get to the top of your mat, reach your arms up over your head, bringing your palms to touch, and then draw them down to your heart. Lower your right hand down to the side, stretch your left arm up to the heavens. With a big inhale, reach, and then on an exhale, lengthen over to the right side, feeling this beautiful stretch along the left side of your body. Breathing into this space that you're creating. Come back to center, lower that left hand down to the left side of your body, stretch your right arm up. With an inhale, we grow long towards the heavens, and an exhale, we reach over to the left side. So we're not collapsing in our low back here, but there's length from the very bottom of our tailbone all the way to the crown of our head. Beautiful. Come back to center, sweep both arms up overhead, and then on an exhale, fold all the way forward. Good. Inhale, lengthen halfway up, bringing your palms to your shins, and an exhale, fold forward. Place your hands on the mat, step your left leg back, and lower your left knee down to the mat, coming into a low lunge. On an inhale, I want you to reach your heart closer to heaven, And on an exhale, lengthen your tailbone closer to the earth. Good. Inhale, you're drawing your heart and your chest up. And exhale, you're pressing your pelvis forward, lengthening your tailbone down to the earth. Place both hands back on the mat. Step your right knee back to meet your left foot, and then press straight back up into downward facing dog. This time, lift your left leg high. Come forward, step it to the top of your mat, and lower your right knee down to the mat. And we're going to do the same gentle movement on this side. So on our inhales, we're stretching our heart forward. And on our exhales, we're lengthening our pelvis down to the mat. Finding an opening in our hip and an opening across our heart. Giving thanks for the good things that God has done for us. Believing that He is for us and not against us. Good. Step your left leg back to meet your right. And press back to downward facing dog. Look to your hands again. Walk your feet forward and hang here in forward fold. Slowly begin to roll all the way back up to standing. Reaching your arms up overhead, palms to touch, drawing them down to your heart. Inhale, sweep them over your head again. On an exhale, dive all the way down to your forward fold. Inhale, lengthening halfway up. Exhale, folding forward. Placing both hands on the mat, stepping your feet back to a plank pose. This time we're going to lower down to Chaturanga. So halfway down, hugging your elbows into your ribs. Lower halfway down. Good. And then untuck your toes. Press your heart forward, opening up to upward facing dog here. So the only thing touching the mat here are the tops of your feet and your hands. Beautiful. Exhale. Draw your hips back to heaven. Press back to downward facing dog. Lift your right leg high here, bend your knee, open your hips, stacking your hips here. But seeing if you can keep square shoulders, so pressing both palms evenly into the mat, and you're feeling this twist in your thoracic spine as you're opening up your hips. Good, come back to center. Step that right foot to the top of your mat. Keeping your left leg lifted here, place your left hand on the mat and twist open to the right side, stretching your right arm high. Now draw your right hip in here and really think about spiraling your thighs into the center and drawing them energetically together. So you're drawing them to the center line of your body, which is going to help you square your hips and find a lot of strength and stability here. Beautiful. If you want to deepen this stretch, you can bring your left knee down to the mat and then begin to bend it, reaching back with your right hand to grab the inside edge of that left foot. So you feel this twist and this beautiful stretch along your left side. Begin to open your chest here, open your shoulder here. Continuing to breathe in this deep, deep twist. Good, if you have that foot, release it. Everyone, let's come back to center. Place both hands down on the mat. This time we're going to turn our left heel in, place it down on the mat so it's parallel with the back edge of our foot. And we're going to rise up to Warrior Two here. Now check to make sure that your right heel is in line with the inner arch of that left foot and that your right knee is not jutting too far over your right ankle here, but it's stacked right on top of that ankle. Gorgeous. And there's strength through your core as you tuck your tailbone and find length. Once again, we've been doing this all class. Length from the bottom of your tailbone all the way to the crown of your head. Breathing into this powerful, beautiful pose. Flip your right palm up and let's lengthen up and back, coming to our reverse warrior. Inhaling to grow long, drawing our heart closer to heaven. Exhaling to deepen this mini back bend here, finding length through our spine. Good. Spiral that right upper arm closer to you. So it's this inward spiral happening here, opening across the shoulder. Good. Come forward, rest that right elbow on your right leg. Straighten that left arm up and over your ear, coming into your side angle pose here. Breathing here. Good. Using the strength of your core, come back to center. One big inhale and exhale in your warrior two pose. And then place both hands on the mat, framing your front foot. Step your right foot back to meet your left. Lower halfway down to Chaturanga. Untuck your toes. Inhale up to upward facing dog. Exhale, press back to downward facing dog. On an inhale, stretch your left leg up and back. Bending that left knee, stacking your hips, opening across your hip here. Twisting again. This twisting builds circulation in our digestive system, and it really helps. We call it wringing out our organs, but just sending a lot of blood and energy to those organs, which get maybe a little bit more overworked on Thanksgiving when we're trying to digest a lot. Good, come back to center. Step your left foot in between your hands. Place your right hand on the mat. Twist open to the left side here. Stretching that left arm up and back. Drawing that left hip in. Spiraling your thighs in, energetically drawing them together. Breathing into this twist. If you want to deepen it, once again, you can lower that right knee down to the mat and reach back with your left hand, grabbing that right foot and feeling this good stretch and opening across your shoulder and your chest here. Using your breath to fuel this movement. Good. Release that leg if you have it grasped. Everybody, let's come back to center. Place both hands on the mat. We're going to place our right heel down onto the mat and come up to rise in warrior two pose here. Checking to make sure that our front heel is in line with the back arch, that our left knee is at a 90-degree angle here, and that we're tucking our tailbone here, so there's this length all along our spine here. Good. Shrug your shoulders up to your ears and then down your spine here, so there's space in your neck. Deep, deep breaths. Good. Turn your right palm up to the ceiling, lift it up, and reach back into your reverse warrior here. Finding length and openness all along our left side body. Come back to center, place your left elbow on your left thigh, reach your right arm up and over. So there's this long line of energy from your right fingertips all the way down to the outside edge of that right foot. Can you press that outside edge of the right foot into the mat a little bit more so you find some lift on the inner right thigh? Good. Come back to center. One deep inhale and exhale in this warrior two. And then place both hands on the mat. Step your left foot back to meet your right lower halfway down to Chaturanga. Up to upward facing dog. Press back to your downward facing dog. Thanking God for the grace in this moment. Finding the joy in the gratitude. Entering his courts and his presence with thanksgiving in our hearts. Good. Lift your right leg high, come to the toes of your left foot, bend your right knee and hug it into your chest, rounding your spine just like we did with our cat-cow, trying to touch your knee to your nose. Good. Press back, sending that right leg high, and bend it again, come forward and seeing if you can touch your right knee to your right elbow. Press it back, lift your right leg high again. Take that knee and twist it across your body, seeing if you can touch right knee to left elbow. But then let's kick that right foot out straight, so we're coming to rest on the outside edge of that right foot. But stay here with both hands pressing into the mat for a second, reaching your heart forward, opening across your chest here. You might feel a really yummy stretch on the outside edge of that right hip here in your IT band. Press into that right outside edge of your foot, breathing into this openness. Good, and now root down into your right hand. Spiral your left heel to come to the mat and open up into fallen triangle here. So our left arm comes up to the ceiling, pressing our heart and our hips up towards the ceiling. Breathing into this beautiful heart opener, saying, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Good. Come back to center, bringing your left arm down to the mat. Take that right leg and reach it all the way back and do a three-legged dog. Good. And then come forward, bending that knee. Place it in between your hands. And then heel toe that foot to the outside edge of your mat here. Coming into lizard pose here. So you can lower your left knee down to the mat. And just evaluate where your body is here. If this feels like a pretty intense hip opening stretch, then you can stay here, just breathing into the space, seeing where you can surrender a little bit more deeply in your hips and in your pelvis. If you want to take this a bit farther, you can begin to lower down onto your forearms. Or you can lift your back knee off the mat. That might help you find a little bit more open space in your hips. Having grace for wherever you are today, and using your breath to guide the movement, to calm any anxious thoughts that pop up, any self-defeating thoughts. Good. Let's heel toe that foot now back to the center of our body. I'm going to take it all the way over to the other side of our mat and lower our shin all the way down onto the mat here, coming into pigeon pose. So you might need to scoot that left foot and left leg back just a little bit to make some more room here. And we want our hips to stay square here, so we're not rolling onto our right hip here, but both hip points are evenly pointing towards the front of our mat. On an inhale, take your fingertips onto the mat and open your heart one more time. We've been doing this all class, so this movement should feel really familiar. Stretching across our shoulder blades, opening across our chest, and then slowly begin to crawl those fingertips forward, lowering down into a pigeon pose. In her book, 1,000 Gifts, Ann Voskamp sort of breaks down this Greek word eucharisteo, which is used oftentimes in the Bible when we talk about giving thanks. So, it says in the Gospels, when Jesus took the bread and he broke it, he gave thanks, and then he gave it. So give thanks is this word eucharisteo. And eucharisteo is made up of pieces of other Greek words. Charis means grace, and chara means joy. So she says that if we can take everything as grace and give thanks for it, we find joy. I love this because she says joy is not some exotic location or some emotional mountain peak experience. The holy grail of joy is right here in the messy, piercing ache of now. Joy might unbelievably be possible in the dirty, in the broken, in the mundane. Slowly begin to crawl back up, pressing your palms into the mat, step that foot back to downward facing dog here, and just take whatever movement feels natural to find some openness in your hip. Good, and let's just take the same sequence of movements on the left side. So lift your left leg high, come to the ball of your right foot, bend your left knee and hug it into your chest, rounding your spine, trying to touch your knee to your nose. Good, lift that left leg high again, bending that knee, come forward and see if you can touch your left knee to your left elbow. Building core strength here. Press back, lift your left leg high, and then twist it across your body, seeing if you can touch the left knee to right elbow, and then straighten out that left leg, bringing the outside edge of your left foot to the floor. Pressing into both hands on your mat here, open your heart, finding strength and stability as you stretch. Beautiful. Let's lower onto the heel of our right foot as we begin to lift our right arm up and back, opening up into this fallen triangle pose here, pressing your hips and your heart towards heaven, breathing in this vulnerable pose, offering it to God. The Bible talks so much about Thanksgiving being this offering that we bring before God. It's not natural for us. It's uncomfortable for us to say thanks in the things that don't feel like we're thankful for. but that's the key to his presence. Good. Come back to center and place both hands on the mat. Stretch that left leg back in your three-legged dog. And then step your left foot forward, placing it down on the top of your mat, and then heel toeing it out to the outside edge, coming into your lizard pose here. Once again, lowering down onto your right knee if that feels good. And just seeing how your body feels on this side, because they can be very different. For me, this left side is a lot more accessible than the right side. So having grace for wherever your body is in this pose, in this moment. Maybe you lower onto your forearms. Maybe begin to bend that right knee, reaching back with your right hand, opening across your heart and chest as you twist and stretch and surrender all at once. As long as thanks is possible, then joy is always possible. Joy is always possible, friends. It doesn't need more money. It doesn't need more time. It doesn't need better clothes or better skin, better children. Joy is always possible. Release your foot if you have it grasped. Slowly begin to rise up and heel toe your foot all the way across to the opposite edge of your mat, lowering the side of your shin down onto the mat. Maybe sliding that right leg back if you need to make some more space here. Coming into your pigeon pose. But before you fold forward, let's come up onto our fingertips and take a big inhale, opening our heart one more time, offering our thanksgiving. And then slowly begin to fold all the way forward, surrendering here. Thanking God that in this vulnerable, maybe uncomfortable position, there's grace. Okay, slowly come back up to center. We're going to roll right onto our left hip here and swing our right leg forward, stretching both legs out long in front of you, and just give them a little shake here. I remember, this is one of my most vivid memories of being in ballet as a kid. We would do this just leg shake out thing, and I loved it. So be a 5-year-old ballerina, shake your legs out, and then take your right leg and cross it over your left thigh here, bringing your right foot all the way down on the mat. With an inhale, I want you to grow long. Take your right arm behind your back here, and your left arm can either hug your right knee, or you can take that left elbow and hook it over your right thigh to find a little bit more depth in this twist. But with every inhale, we grow tall, and every exhale, we twist deeper. Once again, aiding our digestive system, bringing life even in the twisting here. Good. Come back to center and just switch sides, uncross your right leg and take your left foot, cross it over your right thigh. Take your left hand behind you, and on an inhale, grow long. Exhale, hugging your right hand around your left thigh, or hooking that right elbow over your left thigh. Really rooting down through your hips here to emphasize that length. Maybe you close your eyes and just offer a small gratitude to God for this moment. Good. Release it. Come back to center. Straighten your legs out again. Shake them out. And then we're going to end this class with one of my favorite restorative poses called legs up a wall. So I hope you're by a wall. What you're going to do is come and shimmy your hips up alongside of it, and then swing your legs up. There's no real graceful way to get into this, so the good thing is you're at home and hopefully no one's watching you, but don't look at me while I do it. But bring your legs up a wall. And we're just going to reverse the flow of the blood. This is so restorative. It's really calming to our nervous system. And this is what we're going to use as our final resting pose. So you can stay here for as long as you want to stay here. And I want you to stretch your arms along out far, wide alongside of you. Close your eyes. Come back to your breath. Maybe you smile here. And offer thanks. Friends, God is so close to us. He's not far. He's not hard to discern. He's right here. And thanksgiving and gratitude ushers us into his presence. In gratitude is joy. So I pray that today or tomorrow, through the stress and the craziness or the heartache of this holiday season, that thanks is the source that you keep coming back to. That from it you draw so much joy, a joy that goes beyond just gift giving or delicious cookies, but this deep, abiding, identity driving joy. Stay in this pose for as long as you want to. Thank you so much for practicing with me today. Hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving, and I'll see you back here soon.